This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for March 30th. Tonight there's 11 games, and I will be over the spreads and over-unders for each of them. For Denver at Indiana, feeling towards Denver minus 9.5. Denver is still vying for playoff position, so they have a reason to be playing and a reason to be playing well. And I think overall, Jokic should have no problem dealing with the Pacers, so that's why I'm leaning towards Denver winning and having the ability to cover a 9.5 point spread. Be leaning towards over 232 points, as Pacers can score a lot of points and Denver can score a lot of points, even though Denver has been playing better on defense overall. So I could understand taking an under for this game, but if I had to choose between the over and the under, I'd lean towards an over, as both teams are known for their scoring at this point of the season. For Dallas at the Cavaliers, be leaning towards Dallas minus 4.5. Even though Dallas played last night, it wasn't too close of a game, so that means that Dallas players have some more rest compared to like a normal back-to-back. And Dallas has been playing very well as of late, as the Cavaliers have been struggling, not like how they were playing at the beginning of the year. They've kind of tapered off, like kind of the worst time in the season, and then Dallas is picking up steam at like possibly the best time in the season. So that's why I'm leaning towards Dallas minus 4.5. I'll be leaning towards the under, as both these teams play very good defense and a slower brand of basketball. So that's why I'll be leaning towards the under of 214. For the Magic at Washington, be leaning towards Orlando plus 4, as Washington played last night. And Orlando, these are both teams that are not great overall, but just because Washington played last night, I'd lean towards the Magic winning, even though if both these teams were fresh, I probably would have a tough time picking who to win, as both of them are kind of even. Like one team could get hot, other could just struggle like horribly on offense. So this kind of depends on the night, but I think this night Orlando should be able to stay within 4 points. I will be leaning towards an under of 220.5, as Washington played last night, so their offense might not be as great as some other nights. And the Magic, they're kind of hit or miss, and being on the road, I'm going to lean towards more of a miss, as they don't have like a person just pass the ball to, and it's like an automatic bucket. Like it takes work for the Magic to score, so that's why I'm leaning towards an under in this game. For Minnesota at Toronto, be leaning towards Minnesota plus 2.5. I think Minnesota is like a better team than Toronto. I think Toronto is like playing better basketball at the right time of the season, and the Minnesota's kind of like playing all right, but not like as hot as they were like a couple weeks ago. But I think how Minnesota plays, it should keep them in the game. Like this should be a close game overall. Like this shouldn't be a blowout. So that's why I'm leaning towards Minnesota, like keeping it close or possibly winning. I'm also kind of a little bullish on Minnesota this year, more so Toronto. And then if Minnesota is going to like stay within 2.5 points, it means they're going to have to score a lot, like play that higher pace of basketball that they do play. So that's why I'll be leaning towards an over of 229.5, as Minnesota will have to get up and down and run, because I think Minnesota, they will give up a lot of points. Like this won't be a low scoring game. I feel like this should lean towards a high scoring game. So hence why I'm taking an over of 229.5. For Minnesota, for Miami at Boston, I'll be going with Boston minus 4.5. I really don't care like who's playing for Boston. Like they proved that they can win without Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like they can push Toronto to overtime without their two best players. Well, actually, their three best players, because Williams was out too. So I think against a struggling Miami team, I think Boston should be able to win. And then they win through their defense, so that's why I'm also taking an under for this game. And if Miami wins, it's through their defense, not their offense. So that's why I'm taking an under of 214.5. But overall, I think how Boston's been playing, they've implemented a system that works with who's ever on the floor, and as long as like Marcus Smart is there, because he's kind of like, I think like the glue guy for them. Like Boston will play well. So that's why I'm leaning towards Boston winning and -4.5. For Charlotte at New York, we lean towards Charlotte -2. So Charlotte has a better reason than the Knicks to be playing, as they are vying for playoff position. And also the Knicks, like they're just playing for pride at this point, even though they have been winning some of these games that don't matter anymore. And then Charlotte has been playing much better as of late. But so I've leaned towards Charlotte -2, as they have a reason to win. And when they do win, they score a lot of points. So that's why I'm leaning towards an over of 226. Also, the Knicks have been scoring more in this second half of the season, playing the faster pace of basketball. So even if this is like a colder shooting game, I think just the more up and down pace of this game should be an over. So hence why I'm leaning towards over 226. For the Kings at the Rockets, be leaning towards Houston +2.5. So overall, like, I think this game is kind of hard to like choose a winner, as both these teams are at the bottom. They're not playing for anything, just pride at this point. And Houston has been consistently scoring a lot, so their offense I've been seen as more consistent. The Kings, kind of not as consistent as they were, even though they have like Sabonis, who's much more consistent, probably the most consistent player out of all between these two teams. But if I had to lean towards a team like winning out of these two, I'd lean towards Houston +2.5. But this is probably a game I'd not be betting the spread on. I will lean towards an over of 233.5, as I think both teams should be able to score a lot of points, and Houston should be able to do the bulk of that. Like, both teams will give up a lot of points because their defense is non-existent. Like, if this does go under, that just means both teams are just missing open shots. So that's why I'm leaning towards an over. For Atlanta at the Thunder, I'll lean towards Oklahoma +12.5. I think it is possible to blow out the Thunder. Like, there's a reason why they're like 14th in the West, but I think they have a tendency to keep their games like within 12.5 points. They're usually within 10. And against Atlanta, who's just kind of like up and down, like not a super consistent team this season, I think the Thunder can't be able to stay within 12.5 points. I really lean towards an over, as I think Atlanta will score a lot this game. I think the Thunder will be able to keep up with that, but the Thunder can also play some pretty alright defense, so if you do take it under, I can understand that. But if I had to lean towards one, I'd lean towards an over, because if Atlanta does win, it's going to be like due to like a high scoring output, and then their defense isn't amazing. I think the Thunder can score in Atlanta, but I think OKC can keep it close and then have an over of 229. For Memphis at the Spurs, I lean towards San Antonio +6, and this is mostly due to the fact that the Spurs are just on the cusp of the play-in. I believe they're the 10th seed and just hold a tiebreaker. So it's very important for the Spurs to win, and I find it hilarious if they do win. So that's why I'm leaning towards the Spurs winning, or just like at least staying within 6 points. Like, they have a major reason to be playing. It'd be funny if the Lakers don't make the play-ins. So that's why I'm leaning towards the Spurs +6. On a normal day, I'd probably lean towards Memphis, but I just have hopes and dreams that I want the Spurs to win. And if they do win, it will be a high-scoring game. But even if you are leaning towards Memphis, like winning, I'd still take it over in that scenario too, as both teams score a lot of points. Like, they played faster pace, so hence why I lean towards an over. It's just mostly due to pace. And we have the Suns at the Warriors. And the Suns, even though they have like no reason like to be winning games, because they could lose all their games and still be the number 1 seed overall in the league, they're just winning out of pure dominance, and I will see that continue. And I'm sure they want to prove something over the Warriors, so hence why I'm leaning towards Phoenix -6, as no one on the Warriors will probably be able to slow down the Suns, and the Suns, I think, can slow down the Warriors, since the Warriors are just kind of struggling without Curry. We'll be leaning towards an over 224.5, as I think the Suns, I wouldn't be surprised if they have over 125. So if kind of picture the Suns score like 120, 125. That means the Warriors just need to score like 100, 105 points, and they'll be an over. So that's why I'm leaning towards an over for this game of over 224.5. For the Pelicans at Portland, so the Pelicans have a reason to be playing, as pretty much if they just win like a few more games, like they have a solidified spot in the play-ins. And Portland is not a great team, so the Pelicans should take advantage of this and win. And they should be able to cover a 13.5 point spread, as they want to show why they are like the 9 seed or like in playoff contention. Like they should be able to handle the Trailblazers. And then 13.5 points, even though it is kind of a big spread, I normally would take the underdog, as 13.5 points is kind of big. I think the Pelicans have been more consistent with Ingram back. Like 13.5 points shouldn't be too much. I will be leaning towards an under, as I think the Pelicans can hold Portland below like 95 points. Like they shouldn't be giving up like 100. And New Orleans defense is pretty good. They're not playing like crazy fast pace, so like a normal amount of possessions. And then New Orleans, they're not scoring like 130, 125. Like they'll probably be in that like 115, 120 range. So that's why I'm leaning towards an under. Thank you for watching. As always, enjoy watching basketball, bet responsibly, and good luck on your bets. And once again, thank you for watching.